Hello, everyone. My name's Catherine. I'm very sorry for the delay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I can't hear anyone for some reason. Just give me one moment. I still don't think I can hear anyone. Could someone ask to unmute and
I can hear you. I can hear you.
oh, good, I can hear
You're
you.
loud and
I
clear.
can hear you.
Okay, perfect. It's still very low on my end, but this should work. Again, I apologize for the delay. My name's Catherine from SEB Housing, and this is the lottery for the affordable homes in Rehoboth at the Reserve at Spring Hill. So a few things to go over before I actually do the lottery drawing. Again, this is for the 5 affordable single-family homes. And if you have any questions during the session, you can unmute yourself. You were muted when you came into the meeting just to minimize any outside noise. And anyone who was approved for this lottery that is not in attendance is able to, oh, someone says they can't hear me. But I think most can. Is that right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah.
All right, I have no idea why this is so low. Usually don't have an issue here. Sorry, I'm just trying one other thing. Oh, okay, this should be good now. My speakers, instead of whatever other output it was trying for. Okay, so this will be posted to our YouTube channel after tonight. So anyone who was approved for this lottery that isn't able to be in attendance tonight, you can watch it there, or you can wait to get an email from us later on tonight that is going to have the waiting list attached to the email, and it's going to give you more information about next steps. So during the drawings tonight, you're not going to know exactly where you place on the waiting list because I first need to sort the results based on priorities of household type, whether or not your household has local preference, that sort of thing. But the good news is that you'll get an email from me from info@sebhousing.com later on this evening, so you won't have much of a wait. So no need to write any of this kind of background information down because it will be sent to you in that email as well. But I want to give you a, some background information on who applied, how many applicants there were, and all of that. So everyone should already have their lottery application number if you were approved for this lottery. So your number is in the form of a series of numbers. So your number is between A.001 and A.030. If you don't have that, if you forgot it, please let me know in a message so I can look that up for you. If you don't have a lottery application number, it could mean that you weren't approved for this lottery, but I hope that isn't the case if you're in attendance. So there were 30 completed applications, so there's going to be 30 households in the lottery. all homes have 2 bedrooms. Of the approved applicants, 16 applicants were type 2 households, 14 applicants are type 1 households. So you'll remember that back when you completed your application, you indicated and SCB Housing confirmed your household type, either 1 or 2. So that pretty much corresponds with how many members of your household you have. So since these are type 2, or sorry, since these are 2-bedroom homes, type 2 households are going to have priority over type 1 households on the waiting list. That's because the affordable housing program is designed. Do you have a question? Okay. That's because the program is designed so that households who don't have priority, it ensures that households don't have priority for larger units than they may require. So for this lottery, there's also going to be a local preference for 3 of the affordable homes. So if you answered yes to the local preference question on your lottery application, your lottery eligibility email confirmed whether or not you were reporting that you had local preference. So when the drawing takes place tonight, like I said, you're not going to know exactly where you fall on the waiting list, even if you're drawn first. And that's because I need to sort those results by household type and also by local preference. I'll be using a website called random.org tonight to do the drawing. It will be done instantaneously. You'll be able to see it. I'll screen share so you're able to see that. And it's just a digital way to do these drawings rather than pulling, note cards or anything like that. So the first drawing I'll be doing is that local preference drawing. That's going to include the households who indicated that they either live or work full-time in Rehoboth. There was only 3 households who qualified for local preference. And when I do the drawing, I'm going to insert the application numbers for those local preference households into the list randomizer. It's just a function that's in this random.org website, and it's going to digitally generate an order of the numbers. So after that local preference drawing, I'll be doing an application. I'll be doing a general drawing, and it will include all 30 lottery households, the application numbers for households, and that will be done in the same way through that list randomizer. So like I said, I'll be screen sharing. You'll be able to see that happen. I'll do a demonstration in just a couple minutes so you can see how it'll work, just so you're familiar with it. And before that local preference drawing, I actually need to do a preliminary minority local preference drawing, which is the first one. So there's going to be 3 drawings tonight because of the rules of the affordable program. So the reason for this local preference minority drawing is because according to the affordable housing program rules, the number of minority households, so households that identify as belonging to a minority group, the number of minority households in the local preference pool have to be at least as high as the Census Bureau's percentage of minorities in the surrounding area. So in this case, Rehoboth is in the census area of Providence and Warwick, and that percentage falls at 28.4%. So there were 3 total households who qualify for local preference, 0, so none of them indicated on their lottery application that they belong to a minority group. So since obviously 0 of 3 represents 0% of those local preference households, that's lower than the 28.4% that is required. So to start out, the first thing I need to do is just have this minority drawing, and there were 3 households who identified as minority in this lottery who did not have local preference. So what I'm going to do is the lottery numbers for the 3 minority households who obviously aren't already part of the local preference pool are going to be randomized in the first drawing. The top 2 lottery application numbers are going to be selected, and those households are going to be added to the local preference pool. So that will make for a total of 2 of the total 5 local preference households, which will be 40%. So that'll get us over the 28.4% that's required by the program. I know that this sounds very convoluted, and it was mentioned as a possibility in the information package just to give everyone a heads up. But again, this is just a requirement that given the application pool that we have, that we need to do this first. So after the minority drawing, we're going to have the required minority representation for the local preference drawing, and then I'll proceed with the local preference drawing that will then have 5 households. And again, I recognize this sounds confusing now, but these drawings are just requirements that will allow us to properly sort the results from tonight's drawings. So just to give you a quick heads up of what the drawing is going to look like, I'm going to go to random.org. I'm going to share my screen here. Just give me one moment. All right, so you should be able to see on your screen here that I'm on this very basic looking website, random.org. I'm going to scroll down and click on List Randomizer. This is just a function that we use to do our drawings. And when the time comes for the actual lottery drawings, you're going to see that the lottery application numbers are put in here as, A.00, all of that. But for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when I click randomize down here, it's just going to spit out a random order, which will be the lottery drawing. So I'm going to click randomize again. This is just for demonstration purposes. It is not the drawing yet. So there's the random order. That's the way this is going to work in terms of running the lottery drawing. So there's going to be 3 different drawings because we're going to have that local preference minority drawing, we're going to have the local preference drawing, and then we're going to have the general drawing, which includes all 30 lottery application numbers. So just wanted to give you kind of a sense of what it's going to be like in a few moments when I run the actual drawing. So I stopped screen sharing. I'm going to screen share again in just a minute for the drawings themselves. So the order that random.org generates for these drawings is going to allow us to properly sort the results onto the waiting list. The waiting list is what determines the order in which households will be able to reserve homes. So it's important to remember, again, the drawing tonight isn't the final order of the waiting list because I still need to sort those results by household type and local preference. After the lottery, though, an email is going to be sent with more information, and the waiting lists are going to be attached. When you have a look at the waiting list, it's going to be a PDF attachment. And when you look at the waiting list, you're going to see that the top households on each waiting list are highlighted in green. That is indicating that those households are going to be immediately invited to move forward to the next step in the process, which is to submit income, asset, tax documentation. Because remember, when you applied for the lottery, you submitted your mortgage pre-approval and your lottery application, but you self-reported your income. You didn't have to submit, pay stubs and all of that. So you'll get a separate email request if you're one of the households who's highlighted in green, meaning you're one of the top households on one of the waiting lists, and you'll have about 10 days to get that information into SCB Housing. So although there's only 5 affordable homes available, there are going to be a total of 15 applicants that are invited onto that next step. So that's because, we want to be sure that the process moves along and isn't delayed by screening only the top 5 households on the waiting list. It's possible that the top 5 households will provide all of the necessary information and be found eligible to purchase the homes, but that usually is not the case. So, it is possible, like I said, though, that you may be one of the households who is invited forward and, you submit all of your documentation and then you're not able to move forward to purchase one of the homes if you're further down the waiting list. So just keep that in mind. If you're not one of the households who is highlighted, you will only be called forward to submit information to us and move on to that next step if everyone ahead of you on the waiting list drops off, either purchases a home or is drops off because they maybe are ineligible or are no longer interested in the opportunity. So just keep that in mind. So back when you received your lottery application number, you were sent a documentation requirements guide, and that gave you a little bit of an idea as to what you can expect to be requested to send in to SEB Housing. So how many pay stubs, 3 years of tax returns, all of that is kind of detailed there. So have a look at that so you're able to gather some of that information if you're one of the top households. Trying to think if there's anything else before I do the screenings here, or the drawings here. Does anyone have any questions? It's going to be the 3 drawings. I know it's a little confusing when you're on the lottery call. When you get the email tonight that has the waiting list, it'll be a lot more clear. I'll screen share again for you here so you're able to see the order of the waiting list that will be sorted tonight. So you can get a better sense of what I'm talking about when I say type 1 and type 2 households. So here's the order of priority that I'm going to be sorting the results from tonight's drawing onto the waiting list using. If you applied for this lottery, you're qualified for a 2-bedroom home. That's the only home size that is being made available in this lottery. So you will be on both waiting lists, no matter whether or not you have local preference or not. So that's confusing sometimes because if you don't have local preference, you might wonder why you're on the local preference list. But if you look here, everyone is going to have a position on the local preference list. So if you're a type 2 non-local preference household, you're going to be below the type 2 local preference households, but you're going to be ahead of the type 1 local preference households because you have that type 2 status of having a larger household. And then everyone will be on the general open waiting list as well. So when you get the waiting list tonight and you're looking for your lottery application number, you will see it in 2 places. All right, so I'm going to go back to random.org and we will run the drawings. I have a spreadsheet here that I'm going to be referencing to run the drawing. So the first thing that I need to do is run that minority drawing that I mentioned. So these 3 lottery application numbers represent the households who reported that they were part of a minority group. None of these people are in the local preference pool yet, but 2 of them will be after I run this drawing. And that's because, again, we have to be over that percentage threshold according to the Affordable Housing Program. So I'm going to copy and paste these 3 application numbers into the list randomizer. And when I click randomize, it's going to spit them out in an order. I will take the top 2 households and add them to the local sheet. All right, so 29 and 19 are now going to be added to my other sheet here, but I'm just gonna paste them here. Just bear with me for a second. A little easier to read when I do this. And again, these top 2 lottery application numbers, I'm now moving over to the local drawing list. So now there's 5 households in the local preference pool. So the next thing I'm going to do is do the local preference drawing. So there's only 5 households that qualify for local preference now. There was only 3, now there's 5. since we've added those 2 minority households. So what I'm doing is I'm going to go back out to just completely X out of that drawing, and I'm going to go into the list randomizer again, and I'm going to insert these 5 application numbers into the list randomizer. So this is a local preference drawing for the reserve at Spring Hill and Rehoboth. And this is just giving us a priority among the local preference households when I'm sorting the results onto the waiting list. So I'm going to just copy that onto the sheet here so it's a little easier to see. And when I do all of these drawings, I will find your lottery application number for you if you're not able to see it on the screen. So once I've done all 3 drawings, I'll be able to let you know where your lottery application number was drawn. All right, so moving on to the final drawing, the general drawing. This includes all 30 application numbers, and I'm going to go back and exit out here just so we have a completely new list randomizer box there. All right, so this is going to be the general drawing for the reserve at Spring Hill and Rehoboth. All 30 application numbers are going to go into this list randomizer now. And I'm going to randomize them here. So as you can see, number 22 was drawn first. Doesn't tell you a whole lot now because we don't know if the household that has that application number is a type 1 household. We don't know if they're a type 2 household. So if you are, number 6 on the list, that doesn't mean that you won't be one of the top 5 households on one of the waiting lists because, again, we don't know what your position is yet on the waiting list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down so everyone can see. I'll make this a little bigger. This is the general drawing list. I'm going to scroll down here. You can only see about 20 of them now. So I'll scroll down so everyone can hopefully see their lottery application number. If you didn't see it on the screen, please let me know in the chat and I can look it up for you. Make it a little smaller so they all fit, maybe. No, maybe not. And the local drawing was right here. So 19, 17, 6, 29, 15. And then the general drawing back here. If anyone doesn't see their lottery application number and wants me to look it up, just let me know. Again, this isn't the final results really of the drawing. We still need to sort the results onto the waiting list. So it doesn't mean that number 22 here is number 1 on any of the waiting lists, but they could be if they're a type 1 household, if they're a type 2 household. I know it's a little confusing, but any questions about next steps or anything you saw tonight? You could expect to get an email sent to the email address that you applied with. The email will come from info@scbhousing.com, and you should have that later on tonight with the waiting list attached, and you will be looking for whether or not your lottery application number is highlighted in green. If it is, you can expect by Monday to receive a separate email from info@scbhousing.com that has an invitation to submit your income information to move on to the next step in the process to be program screened for these for the affordable housing program. So the first email will come tonight. Anyone who's highlighted in green will receive a second email on Monday. All right, and if there's no questions, then I will be in touch tonight, and good luck to everyone. Good night, everyone.